A little bit, Wolf. After criticizing excessive travels of business executives, some critics are asking if Congress does not have two sets of rules here, especially when it comes to travel.
Shortly after passing the Reinvestment and Recovery Act and shortly after making this statement about struggling Americans,
the American people are feeling a great deal of pain.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi and 7 fellow Democrats in the House boarded a military charter like this government-owned Boeing 737 executive jet and flew off to Italy. Why, in a time of economic crisis, would the Speaker, who happens to be of Italian heritage, travel to Italy? The United States has no greater ally in NATO than Italy, the Speaker said in a statement, which is why the delegation looks forward to meeting with President Giorgio Napolitano and other Italian government officials. She also has been going to museums in Florence, receptions at night, and was even presented with the birth certificates of her grandparents by the head of the Italian Chamber of Deputies.
Surprised me with the birth certificate of my grandfather and my great-grandmother.
Wednesday, Speaker Pelosi, a Roman Catholic, and her husband Paul, also on the trip, had a private audience with the Pope. Her office would not release the entire Italian itinerary of the all-Democratic delegation due to security reasons. So what's the cost of her Italian trip to the taxpayers back home? We won't know yet. Congress gives its traveling members several weeks to file their expenses, to tell us what hotels they stayed in, to tell us who took their spouses or staff. But the government-owned Boeing executive jet doesn't fly cheap, about $10,000 an hour, according to the Air Force. 20 hours flying between Washington and Italy adds up to about $200,000. That is interesting news to the president of the U.S. Travel Association. For weeks now, Congress has chastised banks and bailout recipients for unnecessary trips and conferences. And Roger Dow says that has hurt the travel industry.
By demonizing or by sensationalizing travel, all you're doing is you're not hurting the businessman, you're hurting the bellman, the maid, the town that counts on that travel for taxes.
He hopes Congress, maybe after these trips, will recognize the value for doing business. Right now, there's a congressional delegation in Gaza, another in Brussels and Paris, and CNN caught this group of House members on their way to India last Friday to mark the 50th anniversary of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s journey to meet Gandhi. The details: 6 Democratic members of Congress, Martin Luther King III, Andrew Young, musician Herbie Hancock, and others. Both the U.S. State Department and Congress are picking up the bill. Martin Luther King III, who along with his siblings sold his father's papers for $32 million 2 years ago, was among the guests of the State Department. He called it the trip of a lifetime.
Well, if we should know all the details in about 60 days when they are required members to file their expenses, but I must tell you, some of them, judging by their staff comments, not even happy we're bringing this subject up. One congressman's staff even told us it was a joke, our story. There you have it.